Welcome to Fort Ram and Gold. With the first overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, we have no idea, but we will talk about it tonight. So grab a glass, put the game on mute, and take a listen.
Let's do this. All right, so Kurt, you first, me first. What are we going to do?
Well, before we get into our typical intro, there's only one way to hang out when you haven't hung out for a while, and that's by starting with some.
That's what I was going to say. Who's taking a shot first?
Oh, all right. Well, cheerio.
Cheers.
Yowzer. Okay, now I'm ready to roll. Tonight, we are back in the booth. We're not wearing our masks tonight. We did do our trial run last time. We liked it. We enjoyed it. We're going to expand on that next time. But tonight, it's back on the mic, and we will be talking NFL draft preview tonight. That'll be a big chunk of our meat and potatoes. We'll also talk some other headlines and news in our first draft. But before we get to all that, my friend Dick, will you please hit them with the socials?
Yeah, man. Can't forget your veggies on this. So as always, make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms. Instagram is the best way to follow us. Kurt, we actually just upgraded our Instagram. We have a link tree now. Did you see that? I'll tell you what it is because I'm sure you don't know what it is. So from our bio in our Instagram, you can actually click the link, which takes you to what's called a link tree. And we've got our YouTube channel, we've got our website, we've got our Instagram, obviously that goes there. And then you can actually stream all of our podcasts on all your favorite podcast streaming services, including Spotify, Apple, Google, Audible, Castbox, et cetera, and you listen to it right there or link directly to the player. So I think it's pretty good upgrade for us. Costs a whole whopping $0 a month. So fuck yeah, why not? It's free. And so Drammers, make sure you're hitting us up. Make sure you're following us. We're doing things a little bit different, trying to put some new content out there. But don't hesitate to, like, subscribe, comment, whatever it is on the different streaming services. And make sure to send us an email anytime you want. fortramandgoal@gmail.com. That's fortramandgoal@gmail.com. Give us some feedback, ask us a question, and we'll make sure to bring your topic up on the show.
Good shit, bro. Yeah, we're getting all fancified. Now, if we can only find a better background for our Nacho Libre mask.
Man, I'm working on it. I've got us a pretty good lead on a flag. I ordered our first iteration of it. Worked with some guy on Etsy. So I should be getting that here in the next week or so. And that'll be my background. And if it's good quality, I'll order another one, have it shipped to your house.
Nice.
Well, I don't know. Do you have a shipping address with all your different baby mamas trying to find out where you're at right now?
It's a P.O. box number, but we'll narrow it down.
Perfect.
I may have to drive about 30 minutes to get it, but we will. So what's good in life, man?
Dude, I mean, life is good. We had Easter.
All right, I'll go first. So
Okay.
This morning, I started, and I sent you a picture. I was so excited. Yeah, Easter's great. Yeah, you have a wonderful family. Beautiful. I told you that we killed our espresso machine, and this is our other thing. If we did another podcast, it would probably be about coffee, with how much shitty coffee we drink and talk about it. And if you think this show would be boring, holy cow. But yeah, so I guess espressos are supposed to be itty bitty cups, right?
A shot of espresso is yes.
Okay, so for the last year, me and my wife have filled up our thermoses every morning.
I know.
And I guess you're not supposed to do that.
You're not.
That's probably why the Italians are so tiny. And yeah, I think we killed ours. Like, it's just started. It started off like the stream wasn't very strong, like maybe later in life. Now it's just like spitting at us.
Did you have a check for hemorrhoids?
I don't know. We need something, but anyway, yeah, we found out. I had a coworker like, "Oh, I have that." I was like, "Send me what your cup looks like." Anyway, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's the problem."
It's not that it died. It's that you guys used it too much. You asked too much. Ours
wouldn't shut off. You had to. You've seen it. You have to turn it off yourself. So fuck it. Fill up my cup before I turn it off.
Yeah.
So then I was excited to try something new, and I sent you my options. It was going to pour over our French press, and of course, so I can try to be bougie. You know what I went with?
The French press.
A Keurig machine.
You really didn't order the French press?
No, I did get the French press. And I tried it this morning. French press, which was invented in Italy by an Italian. Go figure. Good stuff.
So how much earlier in the morning do you have to wake up now to actually do that process?
All right. I told you I'm reading the book Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins, motivating, just like makes me feel like a bitch in every sense, like as if I didn't feel like a bitch as you nod on the camera. He just really like, so if you go full Goggins, you're not going to make it. Like, I can't go run 7 miles tomorrow. But what I could do, subtle things. I got to wake up a little bit earlier to earn that good cup of coffee, right? I think I actually only have to wake up like 4 minutes earlier to do the French press. But yeah, little steps, man. Maybe the 100-miler will be next year.
If you bought a good espresso machine, you have to wake up at least 10 to 15 minutes earlier to get the boiler on. So it's a thing. I will tell you, I'm going to start tallying this up in my head. How much did you spend on the original espresso machine?
It was a $100 one.
Okay. And it lasted you 6 months?
A year.
Okay.
I bought it for my wife's birthday, and that's coming up in 2 weeks. So that was.
There you go. Not even a year. Got it. And then you bought the French press, and that was what, $30? Like it's the entry level?
27.
Okay, so call it 30. So you spent $130 to get last year on coffee machines. Do you have a Mr. Coffee?
We did.
Okay.
It was a Mr. Coffee / K-Cup.
Ooh, even better. So, dude, I think you really should just step it up and buy a quality espresso machine, like a high-end one.
I could. I'll just keep drinking my French press.
Well, you could.
Because I had it this morning, and it was if I walked out my back door and the coffee gods reached down with a little spout and poured it into my cup because it was so. I think the Eiffel Tower was in the background of my backyard.
Of your Italian-made French press, yeah.
Yes, as I drank my Irish cream coffee beans in my French press. It was so good, though.
I guess it really doesn't matter when you're just doing like espresso martinis and like dropping Baileys into it, right?
So. That is true, too. But yeah, anyway, so that is our dad lives. God, we are so boring. Anyway, so speaking of stuff in our glasses, what do you got in yours tonight?
So I'm drinking Benchmark Bonded 100 proof. So this is a newer addition to the whiskey game lately. You've made it a Benchmark 8. They're all Buffalo Trace products, and I say all because they have a single barrel. They also have a. Oh, really? This is. I thought this was one of those like. Every time I see it, I thought this was like one of those Specs brands. You know? No, it's Benchmark. It says bottled by distilled and bottled by Buffalo Trace on it. So, yeah. No, so they got a single barrel. They got the bonded. They have the 8, and they have another one. I can't remember what the hell it is, but it's not like a barrel proof or anything cool. So I picked up the bonded because it's the only 100 proof. The rest are 90, 95 proof. So they have a small batch. That's the other one, a small batch. So it's a little batchy, but yeah, I mean it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean the Benchmark 8, it's okay. Okay, I'll see what this is like. I wonder what the 8 stands for. It's not 8 years. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's all right. It's not 8 years. So I went into my newly found local liquor store that I was telling you about last time. Great conversation with the owner once again. Cool guy. Several things to recommend. Did you walk in at 8:58 on Saturday night? This time it was 8:25. So I had a little bit more time. Good on you, Charlie Brown. And he had some solid recommendations. One of them, and the only reason I picked it was proof. He had a couple others. That I'm not even going to try to list right now. I'm just going to go with what I have in my hand. Rittenhouse straight rye whiskey, bottled in bond. 100 proof, 4-year-old. It is from Heaven Hills Distillers. And yeah, I was really excited because I don't think, and you may correct me if I'm wrong, a rye bottled in bond? Have we had one? Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Right? I mean, it's a 100 proof rye. Yeah, with the whole 4-year-old and bottled in bond and got the cool label. Apparently, it's a playoff as a Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia. A little history there. As long as it's not Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah, nope, I wasn't going to go there. Wasn't even going to mention that. Not going to even give that attention. So, yeah. It's funny you say that because when that happened, and I will not
will not go on to God dang, I did not want to pay this one bit of one
How
second.
can you not? People are going to hear Rittenhouse.
I
That's the first thing
know.
they're going to think of.
I know. And I'm not going to tell you how I felt one way or another on it, but it was so funny that night that obviously people were, posting the picture of this, which I didn't even, I promise you, I didn't think of it till I sent you the picture. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is the bottle that people were posting that night. And some people didn't like it and some people did. And, it is what it is. But
the Facebook whiskey groups are an interesting place.
Yeah, but I will give them props because a lot of them try to keep politics 110% out of it.
That's
and
good.
I'm all for that because it's at work, it's on TV, it's with your neighbors, it's in the family. Just
I want to draw a stark contrast though, because I do agree with you. Like the Facebook groups we're a part of do a very good job of depoliticizing bourbon, right? But that is not the same to be said about some of the other forums I'm on, specifically some of the barbecue forums that I'm part of. I don't know if you're part of those. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not going to name names, but there's a few out there that I love barbecue. I love barbecue, and your political beliefs, sure. But I don't need you to post a picture of your barbecue, then of your smoker, and then one with a very, very much highlighted specific flag in the background, and then go on to persecute people who say that you shouldn't do that. Like it's a bit aggressive. But on the side note,
I did not know that about the barbecue. I do know that the whiskey game is pretty funny because there's a pretty united front where it's like, it doesn't get political on here. Take it away.
Yeah, not the barbecue world. So it's funny because there's a lot of crossover, but apparently the rules just don't apply. But I did want to talk about a little bit my Easter, and I smoked one fucking hell of a brisket.
I will see that. I see that, but you got to stop. You've got to stop doing the squeeze to get the juice out of it.
Oh no, I just
got to stop.
I do. That's the only time I ever do it or ever done it is for that post.
Are you going to pour your whiskey bottle out when you got a good one?
No, not at all. But it's got enough juice. I mean, it's fine. So I wanted to do that because that is the stereotypical like brisket shot. I don't like doing that because I do agree with you. But I had to do the one where you had it fell off over under its own weight, man. That's the test, the pull test. Shouldn't even need it.
So this is cool to explain because me and Dick looked into our demographics. We're like some people are listening to us all over the world. So we can actually take the time to explain this. In Texas, they're going to be like, who cares? But if you're some guy sitting in his cabin listening to us in the middle of, I don't know, Czechoslovakia, what we do here is Dick himself made a fine piece of Texas meat brisket, the Holy Grail. And what people tend to do is they slice it, and some people are going to say that those people are dumbasses, but they give it a little squeeze, and you just see the juice come out, and it is photogenic. It's the sweet spot. It's what everyone wants to, indulge in around here. And
it's really just showing how moist your brisket is. That's the intent.
And I will say, Dick can make a pretty good brisket. I think I've got him on the ribs, but he did. It's nowhere near. It's no contest when it comes to ribs.
I'll tell you, like pork in general, just it's not my forte. And I think a lot of it has to do with that's just not where my palate is. So much of my palate is in brisket, and I love beef ribs. And we talked about this last time, but I love poultry. I love smoked poultry. So yeah, you probably do have me in the pork for sure. Pork.
Did we talk about the dry aged steak in the last show?
I don't think we did, but that was a beautiful set of Instagram shots.
Yes. So I did do it. I did do a dry aged ribeye that I cooked up the temp to about 117, pulled it off, and then pan seared it minute, came out very photogenic. It is on our Instagram, and it did have a different taste because it was dry aged, but it was literally like, you know how we've said whiskey butter? Oh, this was like a meat butter. It was so nice.
And you got it to well done, right?
I had a well done job, pat on the back, but that was medium rare, sucker.
There's only one way to eat meat.
Somebody commented, "Oh, there's only one way. It's reverse here," and I wanted to comment back, of course. The price as we get into our third show, we got coffee, meat, whiskey. The price on this Rittenhouse was $32. How much was that benchmark bonded?
It's about 20 to 25. I think you're going to pick it up a bottom shelf buyer. Here's the kicker, though. Like, because it's newer and it's benchmark, it's a Buffalo Trace product. I've actually seen like the first couple times it came out at specs, like getting allocated which I didn't like at all because this is like an Evan Williams competition level bottle. Like it's not anything to like go up in arms and pay secondary market on it. So what I'm saying is, based off the review tonight, if you're like, hey, I want to try that, please don't pay secondary. Please just wait. It's going to continue to come out. Buffalo has a stupid amount of bourbon. They're just trying to pop into new brands and sell it to you. So it's not Buffalo Trace, but it's still Buffalo Trace. So yeah.
Yeah. So this is a good episode for those that are just getting into it, want to pick up something different that, you're going to hear Buffalo Trace, you're going to hear your typical, Maker's Mark, your big names. This is a good little, hey, these bottles are available. Grab it.
Yep. Second dram?
Second dram, my friend.
All right, let's do it, man. Let's get into those headlines. All right. So I threw a couple topics out here, but I had to bring this up because I saw it on Instagram and it made me audibly laugh. It was a true lol moment. It was a backstage, not backstage, but behind the scenes, Kyrie coming off the court after losing in Boston and someone saying, Kyrie, you suck. And he turns around and goes, suck my dick. Like, what's up?
Well, he gave him the bird.
Yeah, he did.
He gave multiple birds.
He was so pissed, which is funny because you put that in contrast, like Portnoy, I guess he was at the game and he was basically saying Kyrie sucked.
Oh, that's awesome. No, and then his afterwards, he was like, yeah, it's the playoffs. I'm going to talk shit back.
He's going to get fined for that.
Kyrie. I get it. I don't tend to agree with Kyrie.
For a
but on this one, yeah, because he did what he did to the Knicks, but so far they both have the same number of rings since that decision. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's that.
Just you gotta it's Boston. And I know that they're gonna always have that excuse, but you kind of did them dirty, dog. I mean, come on, man. Just make your threes and do it that way. A great first game though. Tatum at the buzzer, like one of those baskets where it's like, did that just happen? Like, oh, it's over.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, if Kyrie, I think he'll probably. I'm hoping somebody's like, settle down, play your game, let's win. Even though it was not his fault they lost that game. But yeah, Kyrie, playoffs, cool stuff, good games, whatever.
Yeah, I just wonder if LeBron and the Lakers are going to be able to, win it this year.
Rough. I don't even want to do that whole. I don't even want to go into. Does that affect him? Does this or that? It does affect him. That was bad. But I mean, they were all like over 40.
Maybe if you stop trying to crab walk everywhere, he'd be able to fucking make a shot.
Poor Lakers. As if I feel sorry for them in their like 17 championships or whatever it's at now.
Hey, have you started watching the HBO show yet?
No,
I haven't either.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I canceled HBO Max. I got drunk.
Oh, nice.
And it was one of those things where I like told my wife, I was like, hey, please get Paramount Plus, pretty, please. And she is much more financially responsible than I am. Obviously. And it was one of those things where it's like, all right, what are we getting rid of? Not my whiskey, that's for sure. So I said, okay, how about we get rid of it? We actually came to an agreement because she wanted to add something. I wanted to add Paramount Plus. If so facto, other than the Sopranos movie.
You can always add it back. I mean, you're watching Paramount Plus for one show.
I don't know. I may keep Paramount Plus. It's pretty nice.
It was Jackass 4.0 in 1883. You've watched
Jackass 4.0 had me like I was in stitches. There was a little bit too many cock and balls in there. More than usual.
It was a lot of me.
But it is. That's what Jackass was back in the day.
Oh, I remember.
But I was dying. And then, yes, I did finish 1883, which was, I don't know, man. I honestly don't know if I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it as much as Yellowstone. I could have possibly enjoyed that more.
I think it could stand by itself and be its own story. No questions asked.
Well, it's going to because it, like they've already said. I'm not going to give the details, but
with no backstory, no other shows, like it could have been its own thing and been amazing.
Well, okay, so Yellowstone, it did have a strong cast, but this was like from the get-go, like, oh, McGraw, oh, Sam Elliott, which himself, And then Tom Hanks has a cameo, and it was just it's such a good show. Got drunk the other night. We started looking up summer trips to Montana. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I think everyone and their mom wants to go there now because of that show. Those tickets are absurd.
Well, if they would just build that new airport in the valley, we'd have more traffic in and out. So we might be okay.
No idea. I have no idea what you're referring to.
The whole last season of Yellowstone with the airport saga.
The valley. You don't mean South Texas.
No.
Different valley.
You don't even give a shit about that valley.
Right. I told my wife, though, if she wants to load up the wagon, put some stuff in it, and we have to trek across, I mean, we can get there.
Just like Griswold family vacation.
6 months and some rattlesnake bites, but we will get there.
So one other thing that kicked off this weekend was USFL, right? So I know you had a busy Easter weekend. Mine was a little bit more low key, but I did pick up a couple games, watch the inaugural game, watch the Rough Riders, watch the Gamblers. Houston actually looked pretty good. It was weird for me, and I'm curious what your thoughts are here, but I was watching these games like, I know that name. Why do I know that name? And I'd Google that person like, oh, that's what happened to that guy that I watched for one season in 2017. Like Caleb Thorson or whatever his name is. Like, I do remember him playing at Northwestern. I don't remember caring what happened to him after he was done, but it's nice to see that he's playing again.
And that tends to happen, when they did the XFL that one year and even a long time ago. And the quarterbacks are usually who that happens with. You're like, oh, that's where they're at.
Yes.
Scooby Wright, I saw him. I caught the last minute of that Generals Stallion. No, is it Stallions? Who's the Birmingham team?
Rough Riders?
Somebody. I think that's actually an XFL team, but whatever. Scooby Wright was on the sideline. He was a big name from Arizona. From what I've heard, it's good quality football, which these lower levels tend to be because these guys have nothing to lose. They're going to lay it all on the line, and they're trying to do a little tryout for the NFL.
Well, I want to talk about that too because that was my initial thought, but I did some research and I don't even think it's that. I saw Kevin Sumlin on the sideline coaching Gamblers. I'm watching tonight's game. It's Tampa Bay. I saw Dalen Mack, who I hadn't seen. He's a defensive tackle. He used to play for A&M. Hadn't seen him on the field since he graduated. But I remember him coming to A&M. He was a 5-star. Someone recruited him, all this fun stuff. It's just weird to see where these guys end up. But on your point about these guys essentially doing an audition for NFL spots, I want to give you some perspective here, okay? The Canadian Football League, their players make anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 a season. It is due to Canadian law, completely undisclosed, but that is what the experts assume based off of player feedback once they're gone. NFL practice squad guys make $11.5 thousand a week for 18 weeks at the minimum. Some of them can be much higher if they're a veteran player, but there's specific guidelines. We'll get into it, but minimum. How much do you think these players are making? Because USFL has one salary for everybody. There's no salary cap situations. There's no special players like in the XFL. There's one salary. What do you think these guys are making per week?
A week?
Or, I'll even give you the season. It's a 10-game season.
The season, $200,000.
$45,000. $4,500 a game. $1,500 if you're on the practice squad, and it's only a 38-man roster.
Okay, so I was way off, huh?
You're way off. So, what's your point about maybe auditioning for the NFL? Now, I think they're auditioning for the CFL and/or an NFL practice squad job. So, it's weird to see how far, honestly, and I mean that the best of ways, but like how far some of these guys have fallen for being NFL draft picks. So,
yeah, and it may not be like. It may be a risk. Like, I can go play in Canada, or maybe I can try this new league that's going to be on NBC. It's going to get all the attention and people are going to be watching it. And let me just go try that.
For sure.
Maybe not necessarily like I can't make the CFL.
I agree.
I can't make a practice squad because a lot of those QBs have been on practice squads.
Yes.
And I'm sure they could. It's probably more of like, let me go out there and give this new league a shot.
Well, I was researching. Some of these practice squads are stacked with some veterans that are pulling in like big bucks. And there's only 12 spots or practice squad spots, maybe 16 per team. I can't remember the number. but it's weird because 45,000. If they win the game, they get $850 bonus. So you can win if you can make upwards of $70,000 as a player if you win all of the games and you're like the standout player on your team and you get like the MVP for the championship game, which is a $10,000 bonus. But it's weird, man. But you know who you don't see out here?
Honey?
Kaepernick.
Huh. Kaepernick, who came out and said he's willing to be a backup. No shit.
Thanks. We didn't know that yet.
That's like me saying I'm willing to be a backup on SportsCenter. If I absolutely have to, I guess I could be a backup on SportsCenter right now.
But you know who's willing not to be a backup right now? Baker Mayfield.
Oh, Baker. Oh, that's other news that has happened. Do you want to wait till our NFL hot topics for that?
Oh no, yeah. Well, I just had to throw a dig out there, but yeah, man. So that was pretty fun. I also got to hang out with a friend of ours. His Instagram is at bourbon_mash, and he actually gave me a few different samples. I got to try some Castle and Key small batch, which is something that's new out there. But I also got to try some Blanton's Gold. Never had that.
You did send me that.
Probably wasn't the best time to try it because I was already drunk. But
I figured.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you it tasted like Blanton's. I don't know that it tasted like Gold Blanton's, but it tasted like Blanton's. But I do have a little surprise. I bought a little surprise for us this weekend. So, special occasion. It'll be good. It'll be good.
We will be hanging out this weekend. First time since the barbecue trip, which we need to plan another soon. So good stuff. We will be drinking some good stuff. I honestly, until this Rittenhouse, I killed the bottle of Crossroads that we talked about in the live show. I had a bottle of Jameson. I actually killed some of that with some Jaeger bombs. Irish car bombs. But honestly, man, I've been in the kitchen cooking things, as I said earlier with the steak. It's been a lot more wine lately.
I hear you there. It's been a lot more tequila for me lately. So,
yep, I'm still a sucker for red. It's just when it comes to pairing with food, you know. But as we've said before, there's nothing wrong with doing a whiskey dessert afterwards. But yeah, lots of wine lately. Cabernet Sauvignon. And that's all I got to say about what I've been drinking. I have been doing beer. We've been doing good. We've got the Stone Cold Steve Austin beers down here. Meh.
I had a beer. I had another beer.
Was that
3 beers? 4 beers.
Was that Stone Cold?
Thought so. Or is that
that was more like the pirate at the beginning of SpongeBob.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to.
Aye, aye, Captain. All right.
Did you have 9 beers and then a Bloody Mary?
No, I had his IPA and his American Lager. Both of them.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is making an IPA.
Yeah, Skull Crusher. It was good. Cans are cool. Got a good little kick to it, but they're like in those 4-packs that are like $15 or something. But
nice.
You know,
all right. We'll have to try it. All right. So let's rate these things. Let's rate these glasses, and then we'll get into the NFL. We're not reading the whole glass, just the nose, just so you remember. It's been a while. You want me to go first? You want to go first?
Got it. Go for it.
Bubblegum peanuts.
Bubblegum peanuts.
Yeah. You ever had that flavor?
Bubblegum and peanuts?
Yes. It was bubblegum, peanuts.
Gotcha.
I don't know. There's like this alcohol-y, proofy stuff to it. Like some barrel spice. There's just not a whole lot on the nose. I get bubblegum and peanuts and like a little bit of that ethery smell. It's not something that's like, whoa, that's rough, or like, hey. It's like, yo. Is that track?
Is that good? You good there? That's your.
Oh no, that's it. That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good rye spice to it on the nose, of course, traditional. I've told you some of the better ones. I'll get kind of like that tea leaf, and you do get that with this, with oak, vanilla.
Oh yeah, I get that too.
A little bit of butter popcorn there, actually.
Wait, butter and popcorn or butter popcorn?
Buttered popcorn, dick. But yeah, overwhelmingly very pleasant tea spice and a vanilla oak traditional kind of nose to it there. Not bad, not bad at all. I'll go first because I don't think you're going to be friendly to your glass throughout the show as we continue because you're so bougie. Yeah, I'm going to go B plus on this nose. This isn't bad.
I'm not going to say this is bad, but you said tea. And like, I know you were talking about like tea leaves, but I smell tea. Like unsweet tea.
Tea leaves.
I know. I smell unsweet tea, like a little bit of tea grounds, like the bag broke in the tea when you're doing like, tea bagging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to go C plus.
So like I said, I knew you were going to be rough on this. Just next time, don't waste my fucking life to say, yeah, okay. All right. Third dram.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, now it's time to get into those meat and potatoes. We're going to talk football, draft, and a lot of things to cover here. We're going to build up first in the third dram and then bring it home in the fourth dram. Several things to go over. Dick, where do you want to start?
I want to get this out of the way, and I know it's morbid, but I think we have to at least acknowledge what happened. The Dwayne Haskins situation is tragic, and I don't want it to go unnoticed. We've on this show, I think, remember being critical of Dwayne Haskins, and because he was at Ohio State, solid quarterback, record-setting quarterback in college, had his ups and downs in the NFL, and I don't want to sound like Adam Schefter here at all. But tragic. I mean, it's a loss, and I do love the way that the NFL community has really kind of rallied around him. Specifically the NFL community, but also the college community as well. I'm on like our CFB on Reddit, and it was nothing but great things to say about Haskins, highlight videos, stuff like that. And I got to kind of love how the tributes that are being already put together for Ohio State or by Ohio State for him. So I just didn't want to not talk about it. I think it's something we have to at least address.
Yeah, and I sent you that too. Schefter got some slack for the way he dropped, and it didn't need to be done. I know you're mentioning it because we did talk about that. That's kind of how Schefter broke the news. Sad stuff, man. And then you got more details, and just sure. I haven't got the full on details. It was like a dump truck. Could he have run out of gas? Anyway, just a horrible accident could happen to anybody. But yeah, sad stuff, heartbreaking. Not a huge Ohio State fan, but you had to appreciate what he's done in his career. I was always rooting for him. I wish he had done great things for the Washington then Redskins. Tough place to play in recent years. Pittsburgh could have been a great turnaround place for him. Yeah. So you don't know. His career was not, it wasn't done. It wasn't, finished.
Saw a lot of parallels with him and Jameis, if I had to draw direct comparisons, rough start, but Jameis turned it around with a new team, and that could definitely happen for Haskins. So anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, CJ Stroud, cool wearing his jersey. I mean, Haskins did his thing in college. So that was a cool thing that CJ did. But yeah, it's not a bad thing to mention him and bring it up during the podcast. So
yeah. So like you said, let's move on to a quarterback who continues to disappoint us. Baker Mayfield is trying to find a home, and I don't think anybody wants him. I saw a tweet about Baker possibly going to Carolina, and then I think it was Anderson's reaction was, no.
Was that real?
That's what I saw. It wasn't on NFL memes, or maybe it would have been better if it was, but that's what I saw.
I've told you the Baker thing for my side. I have a lot to not like Baker because of the whole tech situation.
Yeah.
His fault, not completely. So there's mixed feelings there. Rooted for Baker over many teams when he went to Oklahoma. Loved the way he started in Cleveland. I think if you don't go up against one of the best quarterbacks in the league, a.k.a. Deshaun Watson, you're probably still there. There's things to say. I mean, it was rough last year. He was hurt, but he still came and played. I mean, you saw it week after week. That shoulder was effed up, but he played. Was that the reason he wasn't so good? I don't know. The year before wasn't exactly great either. But I don't know. He said he thinks Seattle. I hope he gets another shot. We've seen the guy when he has a chip on his shoulder, and it's, it's pretty dang good. I'm not giving up on him. I hope he gets a shot somewhere. I think he can go compete in Carolina. I think he's one of those guys that I can see, hey, put Baker in, and he's going to say, okay, let's go F some shit up. So
No,
another guy, I don't know if I think he's still got a lot to prove.
I like what you're saying because I don't hate Baker. I give him a lot of shit because he's Baker Mayfield, and how can you not? On the flip side of that, though, he made a good point. He said 4 head coaches in 4 years.
Right.
Like, that's not setting someone up for success. And Carolina.
Sorry, go for it.
No, I mean, I was saying Carolina wouldn't be a bad fit for him if you put him against Sam Darnold and Cam in a 3 QB. I mean, there's a lot of teams that have a worse quarterback situation all the way through the QB room than that. He could compete pretty well. I just wonder how toxic that quarterback room would be with both him and Cam, and that they're both big personalities. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm very eager to see where he lands. That's why I'll summarize it.
I don't think it'll be Carolina. I'll get into that for a second. But I mean, like I said, what I was going to say, the way Cleveland, is going to stick their nose up in the air after what Baker did for that franchise, who for a long time had nothing to cheer for, wannabe quarterbacks who they thought were the guy. Now, was he the guy or was he just the cherry on top, which has turned into not a cherry on top? That's to be discussed also. You got some pretty good running backs there and so forth. But yeah, just a pretty shitty situation there. But yeah, anyway, don't want to devote too much time to Baker as much as I'm hoping he gets another shot. You made a comment the other day that we've got talking about. You said that this was going to probably be one of the most boring first rounds. Do you still feel that way? Has anything changed your mind on that?
No.
Okay.
In fact, the more I look at Mel Kiper's draft board, the more I watch, and I don't mean it like there's not good players. There's quality players. But how many skill players, true skill players, offensive skill players, running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, are going to be drafted?
Does that make it boring, though?
Yes, there's no
just because of the lack of quarterback?
You mean just lack of star power? Yeah. Yes.
I don't know, man. I think this is
I've never seen this many defensive linemen and offensive linemen scheduled to go in the first round. I can't remember when.
Well, then you just don't know the game.
No, I do know the game. These are practical choices. I'm not saying it's impractical choices, but when you look like what's sexy, like what do we like to see go across on the draft board? Who do we see left? Like last year was a great example of a lot of star power out there. And the year before wasn't bad either. We've been blessed.
Who was the rookie of the year this year?
I don't remember.
Who stood out from the draft last year that was just a complete badass?
Okay, you're the encyclopedia of football knowledge. So you please just tell me.
No, that's what how exciting was last year's draft? I mean, who was that guy?
Draft. I didn't say
who was the guy last year that were like, oh my God, it was such an exciting draft.
I don't know if you just like want me to pull facts out of my ass right here to like prove my point.
I'm just anyway.
You asked how I felt. I'm telling you that's how I feel.
Okay. Well, I'm just being that guy. I think there'll be some trades. I think it will be an exciting draft. I think there will be picks that are going to surprise people, as in like, oh, they took that guy. But I do agree with you. I think there's going to be a lot of offensive linemen. There's some good ones, and I'll get into that later. Where I hope they fall into certain places, and I hope to some extent that this is kind of a boring draft, and I'll get into that in fourth round.
All right, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
What's more exciting to watch? Sports cars race or SUVs race?
Depends. What are they doing?
Going around in a circle.
Are they on an obstacle course?
No.
Is there mud?
Flat track. It's about it's a drag strip about 120 yards long and about 50 some odd yards wide.
Are we talking like a 1980s Bronco going up against a Hummer? Like those would be cool. I'd be interested to see who would win there. Like what do you got to get to your specifics here? Because if you're doing that thing where I curt you and I make you really think hard, I'm going to flip this on you.
I don't want to go shopping for SUVs. Those are a necessity that everybody needs. You need an SUV. It's a family hauler. What do I want to go shopping for? Sports cars. Yes. The skill players are sports cars. They're more exciting, more fun to watch, better highlight videos. We all appreciate an offensive and defensive line, specifically offensive linemen, some of the most underrated players in the field as a group. But their highlights aren't fun. I don't want to see offensive linemen compared against each other. I don't want to watch that. That's not fun.
Some of the biggest oohs and ahs in the coaching room when I were there were the pancakes and the scissor all over them. Oh,
you'll take that over a one-handed Randy Moss catch? Yeah, sure.
You've seen one-handed catch. You've seen them all.
No, anyway. You haven't.
So
you've seen one pancake. You've seen them all.
I don't know. Still, you just see the person's soul leave the body. So do you think people are, let me ask you this. Do you think people are going to freak out when the first quarterback goes off the board and then we're going to see these quarterbacks go a lot sooner than we thought, or do we think they're going to fall?
There's not one quarterback here that is first round worthy. Nobody watches the 2nd through 7th round.
I don't know, man. I'm drinking the.
No, shut up with the Liberty University bullshit.
The dude's good. The dude looks good.
Not saying he's not good, but what talent did he have to throw against in secondaries?
Hey, man, all I'm saying is Patrick Mahomes went to a school by the name of Texas Tech. Josh Allen went to a place called Wyoming. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson went to Louisville. I'm just saying the tape's sexy. I will say that. And that's why I don't think Baker's going to Carolina, because I think Carolina is going to get them a quarterback at number 6. And I think it's going to be Malik Willis.
And I'm not going to sit here and die on this hill and say there's no way he's not going to be good. It's a gamble.
Write it down. Gamble. You heard that. Dick said he's not going to be good. It is a gamble. I believe you compared him to Ryan Greasy. Is that what you did earlier?
Ryan Greasy had a solid career, okay? He was never gonna live up to Elway.
No, seriously though, I could see Carolina.
Why don't you put shame on Brian Greasy's name? God damn it.
Oh shit. Okay. I'm on my 3rd glass. I combined Ryan Leaf and Brian Greasy. That's what I did there.
Okay. Brian Leaf, you can shit on him all day.
Okay, that's what I was trying to do that. Oh, this is a good whiskey. I could see Carolina pulling the trigger. God, it would be such a holy, like, we really messed up on old quarterback. The words are slurring now. New York Giants. Who's their trip on himself?
Daniel.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd
Daniel
be so
Jones.
If he doesn't go there, Atlanta has Mariota. Possibly.
I'd be down for watching that. I mean, that's a good little competition.
I don't think Seattle's going to stick with Drew Lock. Who's the quarterback for the Washington? Oh yeah, you are. That's right. Carson Wentz. Yeah. So I don't know if teams start to panic. I don't know if the Saints take a quarterback, but I think the quarterbacks will be spread out throughout the first round. But I think I think at least 3 of them go in the first round.
Maybe one. The rest should be in the second round. They should all be in the second round.
It's not where they should. It's what's going to happen. It's like,
sure.
Well, we got to get him because somebody's going to take him. We need him. We need a quarterback.
You don't need any of these quarterbacks.
Kirk Cousins still our quarterback. We should.
Baker Mayfield is out there. Just take his ass for a year. Sit on your draft pick and wait for next year. All right. We'll see. So that's enough. I think we can probably call that a draft news and build up topic. And then let's actually get into the breakdown of predictions. Okay. So before we do so, let's talk about the palate of your glass. What are you tasting? What are you getting?
I'm tasting spice, a little bit of mint, not too much of that, more traditional. This is a traditional, very good rye, and the flavors are really coming out because it's a bottled and bond at 100 proof, which sweet spot alert, 100 to 110. Oak is definitely there. There's a kick at the end where it kind of heats up the sides of the tongue, but not overwhelming. That tea spice is the one that I'm identifying the most. But that's not a bad rye, man. That's pretty good. Think of so our traditional what? 80 proof, our go-to Sazerac rye. Just think of those flavors just kind of darkened, stronger, bolder. Very good. I'm gonna give that a B plus as well.
I'm envious. This tastes like barrel char.
Hold on, let me go get the toilet paper because I got a feeling you're about to shit on it.
Wood. I get the tea, but it's like the tea grounds. It's that tea bag. It's like opening it up and let me just like that tea bag. And just proofy liquor. Like it is. Drinks way hotter than it should be. I'm gonna hold my final judgment for the end, but I think we can all see where I'm going. This is a C. This is a C. I'm not gonna give it a C minus. It's a C. Yeah, we'll rock with that.
All right, I'm okay with that. That's fine. If you rate this anything other than a C, big curveball there. Huge. Fourth dram.
Let's do it, my friend.
Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to make some picks that we like, skill player wise, defensive wise, sleeper wise, what we want our teams to do, and kind of take it from there. Dick, the floor is yours. If you want to start with skill players, since you're all about them, and there has to be 1 through 32 taken in the first round for you to enjoy the draft. Go for it, my friend.
All right, so skill players are defined as
quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, flex, whatever tickles your pickle.
Okay, just want to make sure we're on the same page there. There's some decent wide receivers. I mean, I'm not gonna shit on the entire draft. All right, so I'm gonna look at the first 20 some odd picks, right? I'm not gonna steal your guy because you're gonna talk about him, but you got a couple good Ohio State receivers that are out there. I think there's a few out there on the board that are probably good, second, third rounders as a whole when it comes to skill players. But I'm gonna stick to my guns here. I do feel like this is a very, very heavy defense draft, which there's nothing wrong with. Like these are solid players that fill key roles and positions on your team and become, the defense wins championships mindset. But where I'm struggling here, Kurt, is do we have a draft that is just so rich in defensive talent? Or do we have a draft that is very, very lacking in offensive skill player talent? And that's why these defensive solid players, like there'll be some stars in here, don't get me wrong. You'll have your Ray Lewis come out of this draft. And they're just bubbling to the top because your sexy wideouts, your amazing arm quarterbacks just aren't there. That's where I'm struggling here. Maybe I'm the only guy, but I don't think you can tell me right now that I see defensive players that are just that much better than they've been in the past. That's why they're at the top.
No, I think it's defensive heavy. And even when we were researching topics and guys and what we've been watching, the defensive guys I get more excited for. Of course, that's when it changes because if your team, aka me, Houston Texans, you New York Jets, and whoever people root for, if their team needs a QB and there's one there, then you're all pumped up about that. But no, I think this is a defense. There's some guys on the defense side of the ball who I'm like, oh, that's a good one. So I'm leaning towards more of, I think this is a defensive heavy draft.
Well, I agree with you, but I guess my question were you like defensive heavy? There's just that much defensive talent here. It's just that much better.
There's some pretty
than it's been in the past.
There's some pretty damn good defensive players here. I don't know.
I'm not saying they're not.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer it. I think there's a lot of defensive talent. Is there more than the past? Maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm going to leave it at. I don't know. Maybe.
All right. Well, what about you? Give me the breakdown. What you got?
Skill players. I'm excited for the future of Ohio State wide receivers. They still got a couple dudes there that I'm like, oh. Right now, Drake London, great wide receiver from USC. I think he was hurt this last year. Any team that gets him, he's going to be a dude. He's going to be a wide receiver. And then a sleeper wide receiver, since we're sticking with skill players, because I've already pretty much hit. I think Malik Willis looks like he could be a guy. Treylon Burks, I think he's a sleeper, probably late first round. Arkansas wide receiver, went up against those SEC defenses. So yeah, those are my two skilled players that I hope neither of them go to the Texans. They won't. But if we're talking about skilled players that have caught my attention through the combine and recently, those two have.
I like your Burks call out specifically because you laid out the rationale of him actually playing against SEC defenses, like quality talent, unlike your pick earlier. So awesome. Let's talk about the defense. What you got?
So this guy has kind of fluctuated. Should have been number one. This year he was injured. Is he lack of effort? The dude, I think, is going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he can just, let's just say if the Texans take him, I will not be upset. I think Thibodeau from Oregon has some things to prove, and I think he's just going to get more pissed off because he wasn't number one. I think he's going to fall down. Hopefully, if the Texans don't take him, he's going to be maybe that 4 or 5 guy. And I just see him being really, people say he takes some plays off. He's going to have something to light his ass on fire and get going. The other one who's just a freak out there, and he's on all the big boards 1 through 10 for most of them, is Hamilton from Notre Dame. That dude is out there playing safety all over the place, big body, can hit, can go get the ball. He's another one. I think they would be reaching at this point if they took him, but if the Texans did take him, I'd go. He's a jersey grabber. I'd go get that jersey because I'd be that excited.
I think it's fair. I think that's fair. How are you feeling about one of Georgia's big boys? Because that's where Kuiper has the Texans going number 1, Trayvon Walker.
I will not be upset with that. Once again, SEC defense, big name. I don't want them. There's a lot of guys that they can take at that spot, and I'm okay with it. He's one of them. Don't overthink it. Don't overreach it. That maybe I'm answering my own questions where I think this may be an abundance of solid players on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. What about you? We haven't even talked about the number 1 potential, most likely number 1 pick.
Well, that's gonna be the one I'm gonna call out. I'm gonna be that guy.
Okay.
Hutchinson. I mean, I think watching him in the Big Ten championship and just kind of manhandle Ohio State, really there at the end, kind of solidified it for me. He's a big boy. He's a big old boy. I don't know long term if he's the guy that changes the way your team looks. Specifically from the defense standpoint, it's really hard to do that as a defensive end. I think he's a solid pass rusher as well as run stopper, where your defensive ends typically get a lot of praise as their pass rushing abilities. So I think he'll be one of those guys that's probably an all-pro multiple times. I just don't know if he's a J.J. Watt. I just don't know. And it's funny because I'm going to tie back to the Texans here real quick. You talk about guys who take plays off. They used to say that about Clowney, and definitely don't think that's the case in the NFL.
Yeah, no, he's put together a solid career. He's definitely got him paid over the years. But if he's not a J.J. Watt, who's arguably top 3 defensive players all time, it's okay. He can still have a very productive career. But no, he's a safe pick. I think he's going to do some damage.
Agreed.
Kind of Bosa-like. He'll put together, he's got the tools to be that good. So safe pick, think he can do some damage. I think he's, is he worthy of the number 1 pick? That just happens. Sometimes the guy that stood out the most in college, sometimes it's the safest pick. And I think that's what we've got this year.
I think that's a fair assessment. So then my question to you is, steal of the draft, make or bet, man.
So this one, I think he's projected 15 and above, 15 to, that 20 range. The dude from Georgia, the other defensive lineman, Jordan Davis, the guy who just put on an absolute show at the combine, over 300 pounds and ran a 4, I got it right here, 4.78. And then his other leaping ability, everything else was just off the charts. That guy's going to do some damage. I think if he can, put it all together, he's going to be a steal. I think Kuiper has him possibly going to San Diego, which is scary if he turns out to be that good with that defense. Bosa and Mac. But yeah, I think he's going to be a steal of the draft, even though it's an easy call out with the freak things he did at the combine. That's what I'm going to go with.
You said San Diego, you meant LA Chargers, but I got you. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Both
Wales vagina.
Anybody off that Georgia defensive line is going to be a good pick for you. It's scary, to your point, that Georgia has 2 possibly first-round defensive linemen, not even just first-rounders on their team. Like A&M, for example, is like their top is Kenyon Green, probably a second-rounder, maybe late first-rounder. So it's just wild to me to see how talented that Georgia team really is. That's why I guess you can win. You can win championships with Stetson Bennett as your quarterback and not JT Daniels, right?
JT Daniels, who's going to
he entered the transfer portal. I don't know if he knows where he's going yet. Hold on.
He did. He's going to West Virginia. That's what you sent me the other day.
Yeah, he is. You're right. No, you're right.
So we'll see how he does there. But good stuff. So this is specifically, we're going to stick to, what we hope the Texans do. Dick, I still think Dick is on the fence on whether he wants to go full Texans or stay with the Cowboys.
I'm totally like full fence right now. It's not even stay with the Cowboys, just like pick a team. So Texans are, I think, the leaner, but I don't have that draw to them. I think that I've had in the past, like that urge to watch them play like you do.
Oh, because they suck.
Yeah, I'll say that. That's a fair assessment. I will tell you though, I think this is a break.
You did like 1883, so the bandwagon's ready to go for you.
Hey, load up, boys. Let's go to Oregon. I really feel like though this is like the Texans kind of make or break draft. Like it's either like reload or shut the fuck up and just like continue to be not relevant. And I know I'm not being an asshole, but I'm saying you get where I'm going. I mean, it's like either take advantage of the options that you have right now. And
yeah, so it really sucks that the Bengals kind of did what they did last year, because then you got that as a possible expectation, and it's not realistic and it's not common. But it does suck that people are going to be like, well, now look what the Bengals did. 3 wins or whatever it was to Super Bowl. And of course, the Texans, this is their only opportunity to resalve any shot at salvaging whatever this whole 3 years, or really whenever the Chiefs made that comeback. I don't need home runs. I need safe, quality picks because they have so many. That's why I'm very open at that number 3 spot, whether it's Thibodeau, whether it's Hamilton, whether it's Georgia, whether it's our great offensive linemen. There's a lot of offensive linemen. That's why we were saying I don't need sexy this year. I need consistent picks at that one. And then I believe the 13 or whatever they have from the Browns. Guys that are going to go produce, not the guy who can be a strikeout. Just give me some good, consistent picks with all that they have this year. Put a good team on the field. Am I expecting them to be in the playoffs next year? No, but I am expecting them to take a big step because of what they've done. Definitely not free agent wise, because the only thing they've really did was bring Brandon Cooks, which is a good thing. They stuck with Mills, which is a good thing in my opinion. So just be safe. Just bring in some guys that are ready to start down, not ones that you have to start from scratch, not reaches, nothing like that. I don't need sexy. I need consistent this year.
I think you're in the right headspace as a Texans fan. You've got 5 picks in the first 3 rounds in a very, very defensive lineman and offensive lineman heavy draft. Take some offensive linemen, for God's sakes. Get yourself a left tackle. Like, Mills, keep his ass off the ground. It goes back to the whole Derek Carr back in the day. Like, keep his ass off the ground and see what he can do. But also, make a quarterback want to come play there. That's where you're going to be able to pick a solid quarterback up. You're going to pick up someone in I was almost in the transfer portal, but in the free agency that can come in and kind of lead this team forward. Don't sit there and try to draft a QB and build off of him with no offensive line. We're going to say no offensive line, but not a star offensive line. I think you would agree. And then get yourself like a few solid defensive players in the later rounds and pick up some free agents next year. Like, you can make it work. To your point, if the Bengals can do it, the Texans can do it.
Well, the Bengals have a guy by the name of Joe Burrow that really helped out.
That's fair. That's fair.
And Chase. Just because of the fact that they re-signed Britt, their center, and they bring back Laramie Tunsil, I'm okay with them not taking the offensive lineman at the 3 and waiting for the next pick, because there are several good ones out there, and then hitting on one of these defensive guys. That would be cool if we went defense, O-line, and then somewhere you're going to have to pick up a wide receiver. And that's going to be tempting at that next pick, because there are several good ones out there.
You may even be able to do defense, wide receiver, O-line in a second round.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be upset at that. Like I said, there's holes all over the place. But if you go Hamilton and then maybe London, like, I'm not upset. The only problem I have is whose jersey am I going to trade in for, because I can't wear mine from last year anymore because it's frowned upon.
Yeah. Speaking of holes all over the place, let's go and figure out what kind of holes you got in your glass.
Holes in my glass? Do you have a hole in your glass?
We all have holes in our glasses. It's the top one. That's what you drink out of. That really was a stab at Deshaun.
I get it. That was a KY joke. All right. Okay. I honestly thought you were making a Rittenhouse joke there, and I just wasn't going to acknowledge it. And I don't know if you're playing it off and you're trying to flip it on me.
That was a Watson joke.
I'm just messed up in the head.
I said literally, thank God Watson's not around.
Okay. Just checking. Okay. So ratings on this, the nose was a B+, the palate was a B+. That $32 almost makes me want to put it in the A- range, but I've had too many good, like, solid A- bottles that just kind of unfortunately do that to this one. I'm going to stick with B+. This is not a bad rye. Now, if you're specifically not rye, or if you're a newbie and the spice may be too much for you, not going to be your thing, several other traditional bourbons that I would take. But in the rye game, and then experienced people that enjoy it, this is a B+.
I love it, dude. Might have to try it out. I had a guy when I was at Specs picking this up, and he tried to walk by. I was talking to one of the workers at Specs that I talk to all the time, and he tried to walk by. He's like, "Oh, Angel's Envy, that's really good." And I'm like, "That's okay, not for the price." And then he went around and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you guys have more Buffalo Trace?" To the guy I was talking to. He's like, "Yeah, there should be like another bottle over there." And so he went over, was like, "Oh, it's not here." And I was like, I had a Buffalo Trace 750, and I was like, "Hey man, take this, try it. I have another handle at home." He's like, "Oh,
what
cool.
A nice guy."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, do you know any ryes? Because I have this bullet rye." And I was like, "Yeah, no, a lot of ryes." He's like, "How is this?" I'm like, it's not the greatest thing in the world. I was like, "There's a bottle of Sazerac rye right here." And I said, "This is literally the cousin to that what you're holding in your other hand. They're both Buffalo Trace products. They're amazing." And he's like, "Well," I was like, "But I mean, hey, but Bullet," because he got caught by the Bullet guys that were out in the parking lot, like with their little camper thingy, like giving out shots. So anyway, point of it is, I like that pick.
No, that's a good thing you did there, buddy. And it's cool when you turn into that person that you're giving the suggestions at the liquor store. But okay, so that's a good, interesting ramble question. Mm-hmm. Somebody goes, "I've had Sazerac rye. What's the next rye that you're recommending?"
Did they like it or not?
They had to have.
Wild Turkey rye.
Me too. You're going to pay twice as much, but it is damn good.
For Wild Turkey rye? The 101?
Oh, okay. I'm thinking Red Breed. My bad.
Oh, no.
The Wild Turkey rye is good. I killed that at a wedding one time. And by I killed it, I drank about 3/4, and my buddy drank a 4. Thank God, because I wouldn't have been able to have functioned. But yes, I agree with that as well. Wild Turkey Rye is damn good. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Hey, man, anytime. Now, let me give you the thoughts here.
Do I need to grab the toilet paper once
It's
again?
a solid B+, man. I'm fucking lying. It's a C. It's a C. And I don't want to shit all over it. But here's the problem. Is for the same price point, I can give you 3 bourbons that are all bottled and bond that are hands down better. First one, it would be, you gotta guess?
Times Evan Williams. And your third one is going to be...
So I messed up. It's not bottled and bond, but it's the Evan Williams single barrel. So it's still an Evan Williams product, but it's the one that has like the black wax on top of it. And it's single barrel, but it's about 87 proof. So
yeah.
Great bottle. Same price point, $26, $30. So that's what I'm getting at. Is like for the price, for what you're paying, there's just better stuff out there. And I hate to say that, but here's the kicker. Pay $23, $25 somewhere in there for this. That $7.50 Buffalo Trace that I had in my hand, $33, $34. Just pay the extra $10 and get something that hands down, night and day. I
don't like that it's 33, but I get it. The dude at the new liquor store I'm going to, his go-to, because we were talking, I tell him I try to stay in the 30-50 for the purposes of the show and for the purposes of my marriage.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But he was like, hey, my go-to's Old Granddad 114. I said, well, then let me tell you about my buddy Dick here.
Good luck finding it.
Yeah, no. And then I told him that my early times is I'm seeing it less and less. But it's so good.
It's good.
But yeah. All right. So there's a little of our take on ryes and bottles and bonds to try. If you haven't heard one of our episodes in a while on one of those. All right. Well, we gave you a rating. We talked about our draft expectations. Ready to close out, buddy?
Let's do it, man.
All right. So that was kind of our draft 2022 show. We talked about it, got into it. It's going to be stuff that you're going to hear and read about at other places. But hey, we like to drink with you and we like to chime in and tell you what we think. Tell us that you're listening. Email us. Dick's going to get into the details and all that, but I just want to chime in on that as well. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you thought about our last show. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Tell us how funny I am. Never mind. Don't do that. Dick, just go ahead and tell us.
I think you're hilarious. So I think we're really trying to step our game up when it comes to the show. And I can sit here and rattle off the social medias. We have our Instagram, we have our Facebook. That's probably where you're finding us. But our website is probably the best place to really kind of know a little bit more about us. And then we're trying to make everything a little bit more intuitive, like with the link tree I talked about at the very first of the show. The big thing is just making sure that you're telling your friends about us, sharing it on any for social media you have. Kurt and I are really trying to do a better job of making our presence more known as a podcast, not just a great Instagram account to follow, and really putting our episodes out there, trying new things. We're not going to be perfect with it. Our video was pretty awesome from the standpoint of you got to see us kind of fade in and out of our Zoom background. So we're trying to refine that a bit as well and learning some skills along the way. So like Kurt said, give us your feedback, send us a message or an email at 4threeamagole@gmail.com or Instagram DM, whatever you want to do. You can slip into our DMs. We're not going to be offended. We'd like to hear from you. So I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Kurt, and you can tell them a little bit about your quote of the episode.
All right. Thanks, Dick. Yeah, this is my favorite part. I get to do my research and tie it into the show. I may have done a Mel Kiper Jr. quote last year for the draft, but heck, who can't have more Mel Kiper Jr.? I think that makes a lot of sense. For the type of scheme they play, he would be perfect for what they need. Perfect words by Mel Kiper Jr. Sometimes you don't need to overthink it. Sometimes you just need to go with your gut and pick what fits. And around here, we pick whiskey and we pick sports and we enjoy sharing it with you. So, to the next snap and the next dram.
Drink on, Drammers.
Touche.